how would the U.S.-Philippine relations be when it comes to China's threat under a second Trump administration? Okay? Siguro pag-usapan po natin muna yung assurance, I think, given again by the new Secretary of State of this ironclad support for the Philippines. Can you talk about that?
Oh yes, definitely. Si Secretary Rubio, even during his hearings, sinabi na niya talagang hindi niya, he's not, he even said something like, we cannot continue to allow China to harass our allies like the Philippines. Yeah. So, and in fact, they're even going further now by saying that itong mga ginagawa nila, there has to be consequences. Hindi na, ayaw na nilang pumayag na tatawa, sasabihin lang, we condemn, ganun. Which many people are saying. In fact, sabi nga ni Secretary Teodoro sa akin, matagal na niyang sinasabi na hindi pwede yung lagi na lang pag meron silang intrusion sa atin, tinatawag lang natin sila. We send them a demarche. Our ambassador in Beijing just calls their attention. Hindi na pwedeng ganun. There has to be a consequence. At mukhang ganun na rin ang feeling with the new policy that the Trump administration will have in the Indo-Pacific region. Even if they want to have, which we also want to have, good economic relations, pero when it comes to the geopolitical situation, hindi tayo ayaw na natin pumayag at ayaw na rin pumayag ng ating mga allies kagaya ng Amerika at saka Japan at Korea at other countries as well na hindi pwede yung binubuli yung mga bayan kagaya natin.
So there will be no change when it comes to this ironclad support by the US for the Philippines.
As a matter of fact, as I just said, it might even become the use of iron ram. Hindi na ironclad. Gagamitin na yung iron in a metaphoric way.
Yeah. Speaking of consequences, ano bang options dyan when it comes to consequences? Because that's true, no? Marami rin po ako nakakausap. Especially ordinary Filipinos, they're getting frustrated.
That is an operational thing. Actually, sa totoo lang, there is already a lot of that in place. These plans are already in place. Hindi lang natin ini-implement. The President, of course, is being as cautious as he can. Dahil, alam mo, si President Marcos really believes in peaceful way of resolving it. We stretch it to the limit, which is the cautious way of doing it. But there is also the other part where our military, our armed forces, together with armed forces of the United States. In fact, we have what we call the squad. Kasama dyan yung Australia, Japan, maraming bayan eh. Kaya akala nila, ang tawag nga nila squad. No? And they meet regularly. And in fact, there was a big exercise that they conducted in Hawaii that precisely is preparing us for any eventuality na talagang as a force, we will now repel any kind of continuing intrusion and bullying coming from China.
When it comes to military assistance, what can we expect from the second
Well,
Trump
the military assistance, I think, will continue in place. It's just a matter of us now. In fact, I just had a meeting yesterday with the Democratic Senator Brian Schultz of Hawaii, who is very supportive of our the FMF program, which was initiated by Senator Hagerty and Senator Tim Kaine. Senator Hagerty is a Republican, very close friend of the President Trump, and we have Senator Tim Kaine, who is sponsoring the $500 billion a year assistance to the Philippines. But what is important here, Christian, is that we tell them, or I tell them, that the message we give is that we are trying to upgrade our armed forces as quickly as possible dahil we're facing all of these challenges. And the reason for that, we're also putting up our own resources. Our own budgeting, which Secretary Teodoro spelled out, will also bump up our armed forces also even faster. Because we want to be ready in about 2 years to 3 years from now that talagang pwede tayong maging real partner ng US or iba pang bayan, that we are one in being able to pull our own weight. Kaya natin binibilisan yan. And this is important. At saka itong 500 million is good for the United States dahil at the end of the day, siyempre ayaw rin nilang sila kung may problema sa South China Sea, wala tayong laban, tatawagin natin sila.
Oo.
Kailangan meron tayong, we have first line of defense. At kung kailangan na talagang ipasok yung mga ibang mga allies natin, nandiyan sila. Pero hindi yung puro sila at saka wala tayong ginagawa. But this is also for our own good in the end. So we're really doing what we can to really put up the right kind of weapons for our armed forces.
Can you give more details about this $500 million a year assistance po?
Well, as I said, this is a bipartisan bill initiative that is being done by Senator Haggerty and Senator Tim Kaine, which already, as a matter of fact, the first one is already been passed. It's just a question of working on the next succeeding ones, which is supposed to be for the next 4 to 5 years. This will greatly help us kasi itong 500 million assistance ito, hindi naman yan binibigay yung pera. No? Sige, bahala na kayo what you want. Hindi ganun yun. We're actually, this 500 million is more. In fact, the first salvo was to really put our security foundation, meaning to say yung ating mga cyber security is important. Dahil kailangan makamatch yan sa mga lahat ng mga equipment ng US. Alam mo, very sophisticated na ngayon. Technology plays a major role here right now. And for us to be prepared, kailangan meron mga whatever software or yung mga ganun, no? What we call the security, general security to put together, which costs quite a lot of money just to prepare ourselves that in the event of any situation, we are in sync with the US. Communication.
Pati training.
Lahat yan, the whole works. And that it has to come in phases. Ngayon, the hardware equipment, like possibly maybe more ships, or possibly, we're talking about F-16s. Lahat yan will fall. And it will all come in goods, hindi pera, which is good. So there is a minimal chance of any kind of suspicion for corruption or whatever it is. So kaya it will really be very helpful for us.
And I understand you also had a recent meeting, no? Kayo and Secretary Chidoro?
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
Yes, yesterday the President instructed me to arrange for a meeting right away for Secretary Teodoro, who was in San Francisco. So he flew in yesterday or the other day, and we met with the National Security Advisor of President Trump, si Mike Waltz. So we had a very good meeting with him, but it was only a very short 15-minute meeting dahil he was being called already to the Oval Office. But just the same, mabuti na rin dahil the Deputy Secretary National Security Advisor, si Alex Wong, is in charge really of the Asian region. Yun, mahaba yung usapan namin at we were able to thresh out. Si Secretary Teodoro was able to thresh out everything that we were doing, what we want to do, and what the future will be like. And it was very reassuring. I'm very confident na talagang when it comes to our security alliance with the United States, it's as solid as it can get.
Pero when it comes to this harassment by Philippine vessels by the China Coast Guard, do you think this stronger pronouncements from the second Trump administrations could serve as a deterrent? Kasi pwede mag-saber rattle din itong China to show us that no, we're still here.
Well, alam mo, Christian, in any kind of in a rough neighborhood, so to speak, it's a question of really showing who has the biggest strength. And it is really in our favor that we have a lot of countries that are on our side. If you really count the number of people, a number of countries that are supporting not only the Philippines but the entire Indo-Pacific region to make sure that it remains free and clear from any kind of influence from any major country, I think we're in the right place. While because of our geopolitical or our geographical location,
Mm.
nandiyan tayo sa forefront talaga. And that's why the center of attention is in the Philippines. But
Mm.
we have to be grateful for the fact that we are really centered on the right place right now. And President Marcos is precisely, that is precisely his policy. He is not saying dito lang tayo sa Amerika. We are saying that kasama natin lahat ng mga bayan na talaga naniniwala na hindi pwede na itong area nito kontrolado ng isang bayan lang.
Mm.
Kasi diyan talaga magkakaroon ng problema. Remember, we're talking here about trillions, trillions of dollars of trade passed through to the South Pacific or the Indo-Pacific region. Hindi papayag yung mga ibang bayan diyan. And of course, yung ating mga kaibigan, matalik na kaibigan natin ngayon, yung Japan, they are concerned about it. And so that's why we're working together. Meron tayong tripartite agreement with them. So lahat yan is all geared towards preparing ourselves. So whatever posture a country like China wants to take, there's nothing we can do about it. We're always trying our best to try to reach out and trying to just say, why don't we just talk about these things so that we can resolve it? But if they want to take that posture, there's nothing we can do. But we have to be ready when the time comes. And I hope it will never really come because I think, quite honestly, sa totoo lang, I think with the advent of the new administration here in Washington, D.C., see President Trump, as we discussed earlier, is considered to be a strong leader. He doesn't mince his words, but he also is the type of person that will do what he thinks is best, not only for the United States but for countries that he feels is an ally, which is also in the end for the interest of the United States. If you remember, he did not hesitate to do what he did. For instance, he ordered the killing of the al-Baghdadi, for instance, because he was a threat to the United States. He ordered the killing of the general in Iran, knowing fully well that that was a calculated move, but he did it anyway. So he's not somebody that you can push around, so to speak. Dahil hindi nagbabluff eh. And I think that's the reason why many Filipinos look at him as a strong leader that will do what they think will stand up to any kind of bullying from other countries. And he keeps saying it. He's very open about it. That we are not going to be a country that people will take advantage of or countries will take advantage of. So he calls out even his neighbors like Canada and Mexico. The reason why he's doing what he's doing right now, dahil ang tingin niya, these countries are allowing illegal aliens to come in, and also yung drugs like fentanyl. All of that is all the posturing that President Trump has is quite strong.
And of course, the neighbors are forced to adjust because he's threatening them with the higher tariffs.
Well,
Napipilitan silang kumilos.
like I said, many people may not agree. If countries are affected, of course, they will say, why are you doing this? We're good neighbors, whatever it is. But, each country has their own interest to protect. Even we do. There are times when we will not agree with what the United States is doing, and we'll just have to stand our ground. Dahil bayan natin yan eh. We will have to stand our ground on any kind of issue that we feel is not going to be good for us. And that's why I keep going back to the fact that at the end of the day, if we can make ourselves strong enough economically and militarily, then we're in good shape. That is an objective that every country must have, that we must be able to take care of ourselves at the end of the day.
Okay. Ambassador Jose Manuel Romualdez, maraming salamat po for joining us today and for answering our questions. We hope to speak again and hopefully in person when you return to Manila.
Yes.
Maraming salamat po.
Maraming salamat rin, Christian. It's always nice to, as I said, your podcast is well watched here in the United States. Kaya it's an honor for me to be interviewed by you.
Salamat, sir. Thank you very much po for joining us tonight. Magandang gabi po dyan.
Thank you.
po.
Thank you, Christian.